So Forest go to Molineux and pick up 3 points. Yes, it was ugly. Yes, it wasn't the greatest of matches. But one thing's for sure, playtime is over. Welcome to my reaction. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to the reaction of Wolves 0, Forest 1. Playtime is well and truly over. Coming up, I'm going to break down a few key things. We have to talk about Igor Jesus. We have to talk about Amari Hutchinson. And we have to talk about Dan Ndoye. So make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed as well. If you want to support us even more, you can go on Patreon. There's extra exclusive videos on there, so check those out. The link's pinned in the comments or scan the QR code. Alrighty, let's jump into this. Look, I thought the game wasn't a great spectacle. If you're a neutral, you're definitely not watching that. But it didn't matter. I said before the game, give me an ugly 1-0 win. Okay, I didn't think it was going to be that ugly, but the key thing was bridging that gap to the chasing pack, that midfield bunch. We got to get back in and amongst that. And especially with Leeds beating Chelsea, which was funny to see in itself, that means everything became extremely important that we took that 3 points. Because if I remember rightly, Leeds were actually in the lead before we took the lead, even though they kicked off later. That had us down just outside the relegation zone. And with West Ham playing tonight against Manchester United, boy, does that give me some conflict. It could have been a case that if Forest had just drawn, we could have ended up tonight in the relegation zone. Instead, now we find ourselves, 4 points clear of West Ham before they've played that match against Manchester United. Am I really going to have to back Man U tonight? Oh, God. I don't want to look down. We need to look up. We really do. But this is my point. If Forest can, let's just hypothetically say, win the next couple of games, Everton away, I think is going to be extremely tough. Then we got Spurs, light work. But let's just say we get 6 points. That brings us to that 19-point mark, which is going to be in and around the mix of the upper lower side of the table and then looking around us and seeing where we are. But that's all talk of, scores and results on paper. And that's why I'm not too fussed about the performance tonight. Yes, there were alarming signs within some of the players, within some of the tactics. That was basically Dyche ball, right? But Wolves are dogged. Look at Villa. Villa beat them 1-0. Wolves actually performed really well. They were going into this game with a bit of hope and maybe a little bit of expectation. And then Villa, you saw against a Brighton team who comfortably beat us last weekend, went 2-0 down and then came back and scored 4 goals, etc. So the table and the Premier League, the point I'm getting to in a long-winded way, is so topsy-turvy right now. If we can just go on a little bit of a run, had we not lost that Brighton game, that would have kept real good momentum. We would have been undefeated in 5 in the Premier League and things would have been looking rosy. But they're not actually looking too bad now. Why am I saying this? Because in the form table, Forest are actually 7th. Yes, you heard me right, 7th, where we finished last season. In fact, the teams above us, Man City are top of that form table, Villa as well on 12 points, Arsenal on 11, Brighton, Chelsea, Palace, then Forest. So we're doing pretty good. It just goes back to the whole Ange fiasco, the Nuno fiasco. Where should we be right now had the chaos not happened at the start of the season? That's a whole other video. Let's get back talking into the game. Now, I want to start with Igor Jesus. This guy, man, he's been so unlucky just not getting the goals. Disallowed against Liverpool, disallowed in the first half today, scoring finally in the second one. And I was there micro-analysing it at the time thinking, please, there can't be another Ndoye offside or anything like that. Legit, VAR couldn't corrupt, allegedly, their way out of it. He got it chalked up, and I think this kicks him on. He did an interview after the match. I thought he spoke very well. Obviously, English isn't his first language, but you can see the kind of the relief almost that goal's come through, and now he is officially a Premier League scorer. But it's not even the goal that impressed me about him, it's how strong he is. I said it in the player ratings yesterday. This guy is having to hold up sometimes these long balls from cells. He's bringing them down at his height, holding off some real strong defenders, for example in yesterday's game against Wolves. and then he's able to try and feed the ball back to the midfield. Some of his passes were a little off, but he just never gave up. Other strikers may have thought, oh, another one disallowed, heads dropped and everything, but he still went in for that ball with the keeper, Sam Johnston, coming out ready to punch his head off. I think he can kick on from this. But, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's see how he performs now, but he needs to be supplied. And that's the thing that I feel has been missing, and in parts was missing in yesterday's game. But it was provided for me by one guy, this guy right here, Amari Hutchinson. Shout out to Jess, her boy, Amari Hutchinson. I've been screaming for a month now, start him. Start him. You can see the signs, you can see the creativity, you can see the eagerness to take on a fullback, to make the right decisions. And this is so important. Right decisions are very rare currently in our attack. I think Anderson makes good decisions. Outside of that, Gibbs White, depending on his form, can sometimes make right decisions. Hudson-Odoi always cuts in and always wants to go for that finesse angle. It's obvious, it's repetitive. Amari Hutchinson picks the ball up, drives at the fullback. If he cuts inside, he looks up. Is there a cross on? No. Do I lay it back? Do I put the cross in? Do I just take a shot? He'll spice it up. He'll go on the outside, take on the fullback, get to the byline, cut the ball back in. Variation is so important, and that's why I think he works really well. Now, I don't think he was as impactful as he was against, say, Leeds when he came on there. But in general, that performance was head and shoulders above a starting performance from a winger I've seen this season. That's probably, and maybe you guys can think of a better one, the best winger performance we've had this season. Let's remove the Brentford game at the start where we look like prime Barca. But my point here is the attack and the supply has to come from these wingers. Now, I don't think Ndoye is up to it. I don't really want to lay into him. I've just felt that he's not going to be that guy. But we got back, we're coming back. He's going to have to hit the ground running. He's going to have to take inspiration from the likes of Amari Hutchinson and see what he's done and how he's been patient to get into the team. And he's going to need to come back and put some performances in. If we can get two wingers who are cooking for us, Igor Jesus is going to get chances created for him. He's going to score more goals. He's not going to be that lone body up top. And I'm just thinking, look, as bad as the performance was, even within that, I still see good signs. I do. His team is too good to be where it is. I want to start mixing it up. I want Forest to be back in like 12th, 13th. Then we reassess, look where we are. And I'll give you Bournemouth as the prime example. They went top, I think, for 5 minutes about 4 weeks ago. Top of the league, Premier League. Yes, they then crapped the bed. I can't remember who they were playing. They took the lead, then they messed up. They are now sitting in, where are they? Let's have a quick look on the table. I was going to say they're 18th, but they are 18th in the form table. They're 2 places ahead of us, 4 points ahead of us. That's nothing. This is the team that everyone was glazing for the first 6 weeks of the Premier League. Oh, look at Bournemouth. Oh, can they actually get into Europe? Can they be title contenders? And all of this. And look where they are now. Everyone was talking about Iriola. Let's get, Liverpool wanted him to replace Slot. Manchester United want him. Spurs want him. All of this stuff. No one's really talking about them now because their form has fallen off. They've had no win in their last 5 or 6 matches. And this is why I'm saying to you, this table is still malleable. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Forest start to put a string of results together and we can get ourselves back up to that somewhere between, 6th and 9th. It's so malleable right now. And this game was that important. If we didn't win this game, that gap, that bridge towards the other kind of midfield teams would have been, for me, would have felt too big, would have been looking over our shoulders, obviously depending on what happens tonight. But that win, I feel, just relieves a little pressure. We can go to Everton, Dyche returning to his old ground. He finally gets to see the new stadium kind of thing. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Could be a very defensive match. But right now we've put ourselves in a position that if we win that, we could start to move even further up the table. So I'm very happy with the result, not so much with the performance, but all that mattered yesterday was the result because Wolves were going to be dogged under plucky old, Rob Edwards. We've got that nasty one out the way. And now it's over to Man U and to Liverpool. Maybe one of them is going to give Wolves their first win. So get your thoughts in. How are you feeling about the game? How are you feeling about the result? Let me know in the comments. Grumpy Old Reds will be tomorrow night, Friday night. So we'll touch on this game and obviously look forward ahead to the Everton match. But yeah, I'm in a good mood today. I'm in a good mood. Please make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.